Hi, I'm Craig, and I help veterans go from feeling stuck and unseen after service to living with confidence, connection, and purpose so that they can thrive in civilian life and relationships. Hi, and welcome back to our series 30 VA Claims in 30 Days. Today we're discussing a condition that often hides in plain sight, and that condition is called Persistent Depressive Disorder, and it's also known as Dysthymia. This condition is chronic, it's long-lasting, and this condition is often misunderstood by the VA. Persistent depressive disorder is evaluated under mental health rating schedule using the general rating formula under 38 CFR 4.130, which we talked about a lot on this channel. PDD involves chronic low mood lasting 2 years or more. That's an important issue to understand about PDD. Remember, it's persistent depressive disorder. That means it's a long-lasting chronic condition. Reduced energy, low motivation, difficulty concentrating, social withdrawal, and persistent feelings of just this heaviness or discouragement all the time. PDD can happen alone, or it can also happen together with major depression. We also did a video already about major depressive disorder, and this is what's called by clinicians and therapists as double depression, where you have a combined presentation of each one of those conditions at the same time. Now, the way the VA rates persistent depressive disorder, or PDD, on the rating scale is the same way that it rates all other mental health conditions, not just based on the diagnosis, but also on the functional impairment. So typical ratings go anywhere from 0%, which is a diagnosis of PDD, but no functional impairment, all the way up to 100%, which is total occupational and social impairment. Make sure you check 38 CFR 4.130 for all of the specific ratings in between to see where your case might match up. And remember that the VA cares about persistent depression only how it impacts your functioning. They don't care as much about the diagnosis, but how does PDD impact your daily functioning, your activities of daily living? That's what the VA is going to look at whenever they look at your case. When we look at the case law for persistent depressive disorder, it's the same case law that we looked at for major depressive disorder, so we won't spend a lot of time on what the case law for PDD looks like, but it's the same three cases. Let's just do a review. So Mauerhan versus Principi, which is a case that was in 2002, it's that the symptoms in the VA schedule are examples. They're not a checklist of symptoms, okay? Bankhead versus Shulkin, which was in 2017, means that the ideation to harm yourself, even if it's a passive ideation with no real solid concrete plan, that can support a 70% rating in and of itself all alone if there is evidence of that ideation. And then Vasquez-Claudio versus Shinseki, which was in 2013, means that there must be a connection between symptoms and functional impairment. And remember, this is the specific case that VSRs or RVSRs look at when they're looking at how to rate persistent depressive disorder or any of the other depressive disorder mental health conditions that are listed in 38 CFR 4.130. So for PDD, this is especially important because symptoms are subtle, but they are constant, and impairment often builds gradually. So you may not see PDD for some time during service, but PDD might have been diagnosed in service, and you see more severity of symptoms once the veteran leaves active duty. Let's talk about an evidentiary support strategy to strengthen your PDD claim. So the first thing we want to do to try to strengthen our PDD claim is we want to think about long-term treatment records. Since PDD is a chronic, remember, over 2 years, chronic long-term documentation is extremely persuasive whenever the RVSR or any of the reviewers look at your case, okay? Lay statements, all right? Lay statements become hugely important because you can have friends, family, spouse, or co-workers write statements about how they've seen the deterioration of your behavior over time, or the deterioration of symptoms, things like social withdrawal, lack of energy, chronic sadness, difficulty maintaining relationships, and missed opportunities, or maybe even stalled goals that you had, career goals, life goals that you had because of this persistent depressive disorder. All of those things are things to look at when you start talking about strengthening evidence for your claim. Another type of evidence that you can use for any mental health concern or any mental health condition that you are trying to claim is occupational evidence. And this is evidence that affects your ability to gain employment or your ability to maintain employment. So chronic depression, remember, chronic depression, we're not talking about acute stress or acute mental health related conditions. We are talking about chronic depression, persistent depressive disorder, things that last at least 12 months or more, and in this case, 2 years or more. All right. It often shows up as low productivity, difficulty maintaining or accomplishing tasks or completing tasks, burnout, low motivation, poor attendance at work, things that point to you not being the person that you normally are in all of these different areas of your life, social impairment, right? Even in the occupational space. All of these things can help point to more evidence from an occupational perspective that can strengthen your PDD claim. And then if it's a secondary claim, you might want to look into some kind of Nexus letter. But remember, make sure that Nexus letter is coming from somebody who knows your condition, who can speak with integrity to that condition, and who's not just writing something to get you across the hump to get VA claim compensation money. Because remember, Congress is watching. Everybody's watching. All these people are watching, right? They're trying to make sure that they look out for VA fraud. I'm going to do another video about VA fraud and about just the most recent VA fraud that we've seen that has come to light, and how you can guard yourself from falling into those situations. One of the best ways to guard yourself is to get this evidence, right? And to make sure that if you're going to use a Nexus letter, if you decide to do that, that it's a Nexus letter that's legitimate. And then that secondary letter, that if you're filing it as a secondary claim, you want to look at chronic pain, TBI, PTSD, MST, all of these service connected physical limitations that you might be experiencing as a result of the mental health chronic PDD disorder. You want to look at all of those things. And remember, even if you are already out of the service, you want to start journaling your symptoms and looking at how those symptoms affect you and how they affect your daily life. And you want to look at the date, the time of what you experienced, and the manner in which you experienced those things. Keep adequate documentation of your journal, and this will help demonstrate duration, persistence, and severity of your symptoms. Now, listen, if this video helped you understand PDD and how the VA rates it, please hit like and subscribe and share it with another veteran who needs clarity on mental health conditions. And if you're struggling to navigate your own VA claim, especially around mental health, I help veterans move from confusion to confidence with evidence-based strategies and step-by-step plans and guidance so that they can live royally and live well. Take the time to book a consult with us or download any of our evidence checklists, and I'll provide a link of how you can get a hold of us in the description. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you want any more information about the subject of this series, be sure to check out the playlist right here. And remember, live royally and live well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.